Okay, time to see if this is working. YouTube is working, and I'm guessing Twitter is as well. Okay, good morning, everyone. So, let's give you all a brief update on what's going on across the world of tropics. Right now, we are currently in code orange, mainly for Invest 92W in the Philippines, which has an 80% chance of developing over the next 7 days and a 30% chance within the next 48 hours. That's the main system we're going to be discussing today, but we also have newly named Tropical Storm Barbara and Tropical Storm Cosme in here in the Eastern Pacific, and there's another disturbance that has a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. Okay, things are working. Yep, we have those two systems, and we'll cover that more because I saw that there was a question asking to make an update on that. So first off, let's take a look at 92W. This isn't really 92W. 92W's remnants have likely died out over Luzon. This is a new system, but it is going to be called 92W throughout the video since that's what the Joint Typhoon Warning Center is marking it as. So the center is currently west of Luzon right now, and it's a very broad circulation, but there is still a circulation embedded underneath those thunderstorms. And as the sun rises, that's when we're supposed to get most of the convective activity here. But overall, it's not too active per se. And looking at the scatterometer images, I forgot to set this up. Sorry, guys. Alright, here we go. If I go to the west of the Philippines, not seeing a whole lot of circulation in here just quite yet. Now, why is that? Well, there's a lot of wind shear going on right now, mainly blowing towards the west. I'll use a different color for that because of how much wind shear there is. It's blowing to the west, that's why on here you can see all the thunderstorms being pushed off to the west. Over there of where the center is. It's going to take time for that center to organize. And looking at its location compared to places right now, the center is roughly around 500 kilometers away from Manila and roughly 270 kilometers away from Luzon. But this is mostly going to be a threat. So it is roughly around 800 kilometers away from Hainan and 700 kilometers away from Hong Kong. Those are going to be the areas that will want to watch it over the next few days. Okay, I'm hoping this stream's going well. Let me just double check. Shoot, why is this doing horrible? Hold on. Jeez, okay. Sorry for the lag. I hope this doesn't stop midstream. Anyways, here's a look at the wind shear currently. It is going to be an environment of relatively high wind shear. So it is going to be a generally sloppy system, most likely, by the time it reaches China or Hong Kong. But now let's take a look at the individual models. Now, looking at the European model... Oh, sorry. Whoops, my bad. There we go. Now I updated it. Sorry about that. There we go. So if it stays more north of this shear, that's when it's going to be able to potentially develop. And now let's look at the model. Sorry for this. I forgot to update all this. Now, looking at the European model, this system takes it about 3 days or so to organize it into a tropical cyclone, but it stays pretty sloppy. And then it hits roughly Hong Kong on the 14th, potentially. So this is within the next 6 days or so. Now looking at the Canadian model, this one doesn't really want it to become a tropical cyclone at all. And it has the system off to its east potentially developing, or at least into a big frontal system impacting Korea. Oh, come on. Jeez, this is going to be awful. Sorry for that. Connection issues. Alright. It should not be this bad. Anyways, back to this though. The Canadian model doesn't really show a whole lot right now. Now looking at the German model. This model does want it to become a tropical cyclone potentially within the next 2 days, before potentially impacting Hainan Island, Vietnam, and far southern China. And that's all within the next 4 to 5 days. Okay, sorry for that. Now let's take a look at the European model. on the ensembles here. Okay, now this is what has the most support here. Over the next most of the ensembles show something potentially developing by then, and by day 3 or so, that's when we have most likely a tropical cyclone. But definitely by the next 5 days is when it's expected to impact China, or it's when it's expected to impact China or Hong Kong within the next 5 days, and it should develop by then. And of course, I already showed you the wind shear anomalies on that. Let's take a look at the ensemble plotted on here. As you can see, most of them have a little bit of a circle before, I'll choose a different color for that, have a dupe, and then curving west, and then this is when it pretty much splits up. Is it going to go towards Hong Kong and eastern China? I'm sorry guys, I'm going to stop the restream thing because this is going to be atrocious. Sorry for that. Or is it going to be more westwards towards Hainan Island and the Vietnam-Chinese border? Now here's a look at the American ensembles. I'll show you all the general plotted paths of them. Most of them form it within 3 days, but especially within the next 5 days. And that's again when they... when they impact western and southern China, or mainly southern China. And taking a look at the wind shear for this, again, it is going to be the American model does have it slightly lower than the European. There is still some